You may know him as that guy who sings "This Is How We Do It," that hit 1995 song that you can still hear in commercials and TV shows today. But for me, Montell Jordan is also my classmate at Pepperdine, and he's been gracious enough to sit down and have this interview with me to talk about his life from Pepperdine to musician to pastor and back to Pepperdine again, asking fun questions along the way and seeing just how he does it. So thank you, Montell, again for coming out and doing this. It's really awesome.
Thank you, Kaelin. I appreciate you bringing me on. You missed the prime opportunity to sing the song
I
right at the
know.
top of the introduction. You didn't commit, but it's okay.
This is how
But
we do
there
it.
you come
Yeah, there we
on, there
go.
you go.
Um,
Awesome.
yeah, so I have 32 questions, roughly 32 questions. We'll see if you answer some of them ahead of time or if other questions come up. But our show is called Newswaves Connection, but it's under the brand Newswaves 32, so I thought 32 questions was appropriate.
Perfect.
So we'll get started. So the first question I have is, you were born Montell Deshawn Barnett. So where did Jordan come from?
I was adopted. I found out at age 16 that my biological father I did not know, and so I found out I was adopted when I was 16 years old, a couple of years right before I got to Pepperdine. So birth by birth, my name was Barnett, and still do not know my biological father, but that's kind of my little ancestry.com quest thing that I'm on right now, just to get some answers regarding health and life and things like that.
For sure. And if you were to ever meet him, like, or would you ever want to meet him if you could?
Yeah, probably. I think that I've gathered enough information from surrounding family members to kind of get an idea of who he was. And for some reason, I've always felt like, even with my brothers and sisters that I have from Mr. Jordan, who's an amazing dad, I've always felt that I had other brothers or sisters out there. So that's just something that I'm longing to be able to figure that out.
For sure. Um, we actually have the same birthday, December 3rd.
Hey,
Yeah, so growing up, did you also come across the same problem that I did of having people combine your birthday and Christmas together in like one kind of out of the way? No, they separated it.
no, it wasn't close enough. I knew people that had birthdays on the 26th, on the 18th, and because it falls in the same week. But I was very clear, early in childhood, December 3rd is far enough from Christmas that it can be its own holiday.
My parents made a good job at trying to keep it separated. It was other relatives that would be like, "This is for Christmas and your birthday," and I was like, "Oh, that's great, thank you."
Unfair. Unfair.
Unfair.
Yeah.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Favorite ice cream? Pistachio.
That's my favorite ice cream
No
too.
way.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love pistachio. I'm lactose intolerant now, and I can't find a
I'm
good like.
lactose intolerant. Dude, we might be related. I don't
I know,
know.
I know. That's kind
I
of
don't
crazy.
know.
They haven't made a good vegan pistachio. I'm still looking. Some kind of like non-dairy pistachio. I'm looking. But
Yeah, I have to just. That's one of the evils I just have to navigate through because I got to have that, dude.
yeah, no, I just got to time it correctly, and then Um, what was the moment for you that you thought like music? This is what I want to do.
Um. Wow. Oh, yeah. Great question. Just for y'all watching this, we haven't gone over these questions, so I'm getting them like right off the cuff. That's why my responses are genuinely the way they are. That moment for me was as a senior in high school at Sarah High School, our talent show, because I sucked as an athlete. I sucked at a bunch of different things. But during our school talent show, for the first time in public, I sang Lionel Richie's song Jesus is Love while playing it on the piano in our gym with all the parents and kids there. And it was like this moment, aha moment for everybody in the audience that, oh my God, like this guy is something else. And it was a moment for me where I said, oh my God, I'm something else. And then it was in that moment where I felt like I found my space that I could do something unique to me that nobody else in my whole high school could do. And if that was the moment that I felt like, okay, this is maybe my space. So school talent show, high school.
That's unique. I don't think I've heard many stories like that, so for sure. you graduated Pepperdine and with a communications degree back in like 1991. So what has brought you back to Pepperdine?
Interesting and honest. I had my graduation ceremony in 1991. I was at Pepperdine from 86 to 91. Got enough credits to be able to have my graduation ceremony, and at that point, being one of the first and only blacks in my family or kids in my family to go to college, when I walked across that stage and it was like, here's your diploma, even though there wasn't a diploma in there, I was like, see ya. And so it was kind of like I felt like I was accomplished. And even though I had some units remaining to finish financially and just life wise, I took a step from it and was ready to move on. I felt like if my parents saw I did good and grandmama and grandmama said, oh, my baby did good, then I was okay with that. And so literally, 30 years later, I've stepped back, 25, 30 years later, I've stepped back into a place of wanting to finish something that was started long ago.
Okay. And why did you originally choose Pepperdine?
I chose Pepperdine because it was the whitest school I could find. And I cannot, I can't even get around the irony of that. But literally from the high school I went to, from the neighborhood I grew up in, my church, I lived a very black life. Like I said, it was a black neighborhood, black life, black family. Everything was black. And so I had a teacher who once said, in order to be able to compete in the world and do some different things, you probably need to be able to go to a place where you can compete against some of the folks that are considered to be, hegemonously superior or whatever. If you're going to do well in this world, why not compete instead of competing against other blacks? Why not compete against the people who people are telling you have to be twice as good as? Because as a young black man, you said you have to work twice as hard as a job than this person, or you have to be twice as good to get this same position. And so I found the whitest school that I could find, and I thought that was Pepperdine. Literally, that's why.
That's so interesting. It's still pretty white like now, and yeah, that's a really interesting. Wow.
Shout out to Malibu. They do the job well. So I love the school. Love it. Yeah. Love it.
But why communications? And then you went into infomercials after graduating, right? So why infomercials too?
Yeah, well, communication, because that's just always, I'm an extrovert. It's always been a part of who I am, and speaking and understanding the dynamics of how people talk to each other or don't talk to each other. That was just always fascinating to me, especially organizational communications. And infomercials just so happened to be the company that I landed a gig with right after Pepperdine. It was kind of a mix of sales, but it was in television, and back when TV was kind of doing these late night buying of and selling of products. More than that, I communicated well with the owners of those businesses, the Ron Papils and the people who had these Nordic tracks and these gadgets and gizmos, and they were trying to find that space. I became the go-between the stations and the millionaires who were spending money to try and make these things work on network television. And so I think infomercials, simply because that's where the money and opportunity was at the time, and it gave me license to be able to work with humans and communicate, and to be able to transfer their product and communicate it to other people.
Nice. Were there any direct ties or influences that going to Pepperdine had on launching your music career?
Any direct ties? Probably not, just from the standpoint of the information that I gathered and gleaned from Pepperdine. Is some of it has been useful to take with me in my journey to the music business. When I was a student there, one of my close friends is Kim Fields, who is an actress and director and amazing. We're still friends to this day, but we were writing scripts back then in college together, taking writing courses and stuff like that. So I had relationships that I still have to this day of people who have gone on to do some amazing things. But I cannot say that one specific thing from what I gathered at Pepperdine helped lead me into that music career. No.
Okay. And then I have to bring it back to This Is How We Do It. What did that song mean for you? And what did it mean to you to have it become this like thing?
Yeah. Well, what it means to me now is that if my kid wants to go to Pepperdine, I can actually pay for it. Um, and that's been a blessing. Just the life of financial freedoms and certain things that more than notoriety, more than fame, just the ability to have a life of being able to travel and see the world. That music gave me access to the world, man, in a way that nothing else has in my life. And so that's what it meant to me then. It was access. To this day, what it means and what the song means to me today is influence, that I'm still asked to do interviews, or I still get on television shows, or I'm still sought after for television commercials and all types of different things. I somehow, through a song, have become a part of the fabric of R&B and hip hop culture, that, outside of it being a number one record and having number one records since that particular song struck the nation and the world at a time that, I believe that music is the soundtrack to our lives, Kaelin. And so somehow music connected with so many people's lives at that time. I get to be a part of that. And so I'm a part of people's musical history now, and that's a pretty cool place to have.
No, for sure. I mean, my parents know the song. I know the song. I remember it from the commercials growing up, and so it's just like it just blew my mind to be like, wow, Montell Jordan's in my class. Like, this is crazy. And then to like have you say yes to interviewing, and you're just like this really cool guy. Like, it just blows my mind that it's just, yeah, your music
Thanks,
has
bro.
become a part of my history, my family history, and stuff like that too. So,
Appreciate that. I thought you were going to say my parents listened to you, my grandparents listened to you, and then that's when I was going to just, oh, I think we're breaking up. We're breaking up here. So
no.
no.
Um, do you remember filming that music video for This Is How We Do It?
Absolutely.
I watched it, I think, for the first time all the way through last night to prepare for this interview, and it was just like it looked like you guys just had a house and then also had like a studio and yeah, so how was that?
It was the craziest probably 2 days ever. And it was awesome because literally we rented a house, we bought kegs of beer and set them up outside and just invited everybody to come and just be a part of a music video. And for free liquor, people came. And then we had a studio set where we played cards and we had dancers, and we set up this elaborate, like, really, really nice table spread of dinner and meats and stinky cheeses. And so I guess we were trying to show that whether you're in the hood or, what I'm saying, whether you're in a posh type of setting or, that everybody does it a different way. And it literally was probably an amazing time, not just for me, but everybody that remembers that time period. Like I said, it struck a chord with people, and it's one of the moments where that song takes them back to a good time in the world and a good time in their lives.
Yeah. When you first realized that you had made it big, who was the first person that you called or talked to about it?
When I first realized I made it big, I would say that's a tough one because you really are not sure when you actually make it big. I would say that at the time, my girlfriend, who would eventually be my wife, Kristen, that's probably the first person that I called. And that was after a day of realizing I was in the right circles. I had spent a day in New York City. I was with Russell Simmons. I met LL Cool J. I met Reverend Run. I met a bunch of different amazing artists and entertainers all in this one day. And at the end of the day, when Russell Simmons said to me, go back to LA and get a lawyer, meaning he was going to sign me to a deal, I think that was the moment for me that was like, this is happening. And so immediately, Kristen would have been the first person I called. Above mom, above anybody, she was the one.
Okay. Um, and I know you had hits after This Is How We Do It, but are there any songs that you're actually more proud of that you wished got more recognition?
Oh man, I got some songs that I love way more than This Is How We Do It. Um, there was a song. One of my favorite songs is a song called "Coulda, Woulda, Shoulda." To me, that is one of the most well-written R&B songs that I've ever done and that I've ever heard. There's a song called "You Must Have Been" that Gabrielle Union is in the video. Actress now married to Dwayne Wade. That was one of my favorite songs to sing. Um, there's a song called "Once Upon a Time" that I translated "Había una vez," and I sang the whole song in Espanol and with a bomb translator, and the entire song to me is one of the dopest songs I've ever done because the chorus of the song never repeats. It changes every time. Most people knows in structured songs, you have verses and then it goes back to a chorus. In that particular song, each one of my choruses changes. And that song is actually almost as big as This Is How We Do It in the international community. And so those are probably also songs that are equally as important to me as This Is How We Do It.
So I actually write songs too, and I like that style where like my choruses always change as the song goes along too. But why did you write that song in Spanish?
That was it was a business move at the time. I was traveling with Boys to Men and doing touring with those guys, and they had been there was kind of a trendy, into reaching international, and one of the Latino market being a very very huge consumer of American music. It just seemed like, hey, if you want to broaden your market, and you want to go tour in Brazil, hey, have a song in Spanish. And so to be able to hit Latin America, it was in other countries that Spanish is a first or second language. It just seemed like, well, this is a good business move, which eventually became a man, I love these people move, and so it was for business initially, but eventually would become just for the love of communicating further than I normally could through just singing in English.
Um, so you took a break from music for a while. So what did you do during that time?
When I took a break from music, I actually was completely. I went into full time ministry. So that would have been, I think, 2011. I think 2011 was the year, or December of 2010, that I stepped away from music. They call it taking a break now. We're literally, I thought I was leaving the music business for good and going into full time ministry. And I spent the next 4 to 5 years finding out that music didn't make me, but that I make music.
Yeah, yeah. And now you're a pastor. With
Yeah.
going into ministry, now you're a pastor. So what kind of led you to take on that pastor role?
I knew from childhood that I was called into ministry, and called is a spiritual Christianese word for purposed. I knew from childhood that I was purposed or destined, that I was supposed to be doing things in ministry, but I didn't function in what I was purposed to do. I functioned in what I was gifted to do. So it would be as though somebody technically could hit home runs every time they grabbed a bat, but instead they were a lumberjack and they were chopping wood.
Yeah.
So maybe same skill set and power is there, and you're using it to do a good thing, but the good thing maybe could be a great thing if what you were purposed to do actually was. And so music was that for me: writing songs, creating songs, producing, all of those different things. That's what I was good at doing. And so rather than taking it, the gift that I had, and using it for what the greater purpose would be for it, I spent a lot of years in the music business chopping wood instead of hitting home runs.
All right. All right. Um, And also, now you're in Georgia too. And so
ATL,
you
yeah,
grew up
man.
in LA, but why Georgia? Why did you move to Georgia?
I moved to Georgia because it was really a God thing, and I don't have another way of saying it. I lived in LA for almost 30 years, and during that time of being in Hollywood, I lived a very Hollywood lifestyle, and I had Hollywood friendships and relationships, and a lot of what was real and what was fake, it was all the same because it was Hollywood. And so I think when God was really trying to get my attention on some things that I had in my life that weren't profitable for my health, things that weren't profitable for my marriage, but I was living in Hollywood. I was led to Atlanta thinking I was coming out here for real estate, to, kind of the next hub for R&B and hip hop music, LaFace Records, So Def. Atlanta was the next spot. And so I thought it was a musical, financial, real estate move where literally it was God was about to expose me, and he was gracious enough to expose me out of Hollywood in the backwoods of the South somewhere where I could at least navigate through it without being consumed by what Hollywood can do when someone gets exposed under the lights.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know how things are in Georgia right now, but it's still pretty closed off in LA due to like COVID and quarantining and stuff like that. So since that all started, have you found your time for music and other activities that you were struggling to find time for before?
Atlanta gives you time. One of the things that I remember very, very clearly about living in LA for 30 years on the 405 and the 101 and the 10 freeways and PCH and the traffic, the hustle. One of the things I can remember is when I would, even after school, when I would go to work, when I would leave work and go home, I was still kind of at work. And no matter where I was, work just kind of always was there with me. When I got to Atlanta, when I leave work or when I would leave work and drive past possums and deer and squirrels to get to a house, you weren't necessarily thinking about work anymore. Like I got to a place of where I was able to separate this is what I do and this is who I am. And so I couldn't distinguish the two when I lived in Cali. But when I got to Atlanta, it allowed me to distinguish very clearly. Here, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a worshiper. Here, I'm a songwriter, I'm an entertainer, I'm a concert person, but I could distinguish that I'm the same person, but I could understand that there's a place for those things.
No, for sure. I think I even feel that now. Just trying to distinguish your different roles in life is a little bit harder when it's constantly going places and busy and yeah.
Hmm.
Obviously different lifestyle than yours, but
Not much,
yeah,
You guys pistachio, December 3rd, lactose, like I can see I can see it.
kind of resemble, yeah. um, so you signed on with your first record label in 1995, and so where did you think you'd be now, 25 years ago? And are you, let me rephrase that. Are you where you thought you'd be 25 years ago now? Or, and if not, where did you think you would be?
I am so far from where I thought I would be 25 years ago. Um, and honestly, when you're entering into a music business, you have no idea where you're gonna be. A lot of people don't. Maybe some do. I didn't. I thought that I would probably still be doing music, which I am. But I had no idea I would be in ministry or that I would have kids and grandkids. And I think uh, I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I probably wasn't thinking 5 years ahead 25 years ago, to be honest. But I did know that traveling the world and having some form of influence would be something that I wanted to do, that was built into me, into my DNA. But I mean, I didn't know I would be doing the same thing, but I'm just doing it in ministry now, still influencing, still doing music, leading people in worship. I mean, it's a very different form now of what I was doing back then, just repurposed.
So I also want to be really cognizant of your time. We're almost reaching that 30-minute point, but I think hopefully some of these next ones will be a little bit more rapid fire. If you
That's your
could,
way of saying I talk a lot, Kaylin. I know that. I'm
no, 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 I
giving
want to
you
be.
really long answers. I'm sorry.
I appreciate it. I don't want to cut into whatever you need to do.
No, you
Uh,
got this. Let's go. I'll try and shorten the answers a little bit though, so we can get through some of these questions.
okay. If you could perform with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
Stevie Wonder, if
Uh,
he is alive,
yes. What song would you want to do?
I'd want to do a song with him. I'd love to create a song with Stevie Wonder because he is amazing. And also, I have a song on an album I just released back in November, a song called Change Your Last Name to Mine. It's a wedding song, and I would love to have him play harmonica on it.
Okay. Well, maybe one day.
Yeah.
If there's a song that you had wished that you had written, what song would that be?
There's a song that I actually wrote called I Wish I Would Have Wrote That. And I
Mm.
never actually released it because it's a song that samples me singing other people's songs with the chorus that says, I wish I would have wrote that. I know that's crazy. It's super, super weird and abstract, but
Yeah, it's
I would
cool.
take you know what I'm saying? It's almost like you could take any hit record that you can think of, and then it brings back to the chorus. I wish I would have wrote that. My whole life has changed, genuine. I wish I would have wrote that. You could think of a billion different songs, and it all would come back to I wish I would have wrote that.
Interesting. Okay. That's actually a really cool idea and really cool like yeah. Um and you kind of went into my next question, but I was like, can you play something right now or sing something?
Oh wow. Well, there's tons of stuff. Of course, there's This Is How We Do It. It's Friday night and I feel alright. The party's right here with Kaylin. So that's a little bit right
That's
there.
so cool. Yeah, thank you. Um so back in 2012, I guess there was a hoax that you had died. I don't know if you knew about that. Like what was your response to that?
I got killed on Twitter, is what happened. It was huge. I spent the day. I like to focus when I go to be with my family. I really focus in. I went to play football with my son. I took my phone and I set it in the car and left for about 2 hours. And during that time, a fake CNN, I guess a fake CNN account stated that Montell Jordan was found dead in his downtown Atlanta apartment somewhere with a mistress or so. I don't know. It was something that I died. And right when it posted, it started going viral on Twitter and Facebook. And I wasn't there at my phone to be able to get it. And so by the time I got back to my phone was literally almost on fire, buzzing, because my wife, my parents, my pastors, all my people were trying to find out, was I dead? Was this real? And so it wasn't real. I wasn't dead, but it was just super interesting and a very life changing and eye opening opportunity to see what people think about you when they think you're dead.
Yeah. Now this one's gonna be a real fun one after that one, but what is your preferred candle scent? There's no way to transition that.
Vanilla bean.
All right, yeah, I myself like a good vanilla tobacco kind of candle. Myself.
Okay, I can go with that. Do you smoke cigars?
I don't actually, but it has like this really nice like warm, rich vanilla, but like some kind of smoky sense to the candle. So yeah,
Okay, that's good.
yeah. First of all, do you like hot sauce?
Very much so.
Okay. Are you a mild kind of hot sauce person or like a ghost pepper kind of hot sauce person? Or somewhere in the
I'm
middle?
I'm closer to ghost pepper. Ghost pepper is a little extreme. Serrano, like yeah, I like it hot though. I'm more Tabasco than just for flavor. I'm like yeah, I can go Serrano or higher.
All right. All right.
Fresh jalapenos. I can go there.
I like hot food. My body just reacts physically, like I start sweating and stuff. But I love it. I love the taste. I love the flavor. I love the sensation. But yeah.
I do too. Yeah.
So okay. So this question is actually brought to you from my friend Joe. I asked him if you were to ask Montell Jordan anything, what would you ask him? He thought about it for like a good while, did some research, and then he just said, and I can kind of guess what you're going to say, but let's just see. What life do you prefer? Do you prefer the this is how we do it, 1990s to early 2000s musician, or do you prefer life now as like a pastor, and how life is right now?
All right. Well, let me say what up, Joe. Appreciate the question. Um, there is no question, no shadow of a doubt that who I am now is the person that I think God loves the most. And so there's no way I could ever go back to any of those other counterfeit lifestyles of things that didn't matter and things I don't have to show for other than, whatever fame or notoriety. I sleep good at night. I have peace. I got a hot wife. I got amazing kids and beautiful grandkids. So there's no question that if it came down to a borrowed lifestyle that was there for this is how we do it, and the life I have right now, I definitely I'm all in right here, dude.
Nice. These next couple questions might be a little bit longer. I don't know if you need to go. So hopefully, yeah,
We just keep going at it.
okay, sounds good. I read that you're a born again Christian. So was there a moment that brought you back to Christianity, or was it kind of more of a gradual thing? I know you were talking about some of the things that going on in the industry that kind of like might have pushed you back, but what was it for you?
Uh, I was always, from the time I was a child, I was a Christian. I would even say I was brought up in church, but church wasn't always in me. You know what I'm saying? I was always in church, but church wasn't always in me. And my journey into the music world, I still loved God. I still was a Christian, but I wasn't living it. I still read the Bible, still paid tithes. I did the things that a Christian is supposed to do, but I do this because that's not where my heart was. And so I spent many years doing the Christian thing without my heart being there to make sure that those actions lined up with where I really was. So there was no moment that was like, oh, the world came crumbling down and I had to crawl back to Jesus. I spent 40 years of being in the wilderness and eventually determining that, doing it my way just didn't work.
Okay. Um, Big shift back to your career. IMDb lists a lot of credits under your name, but Wikipedia lists three for your filmography: The Nutty Professor, The Fighting Temptations, where I think you played a different character, but The Nutty Professor you played yourself, and The List. Can you talk about the experience of working on those films and why you did them?
Yeah. Nutty Professor, super fun. That came about because I was a hot artist at the time. Def Jam Records had the soundtrack, and they were stacking the movie soundtrack deck with their artist. Great experience. I got to meet Sherman Klump on the set of Nutty Professor and didn't know it was Eddie Murphy because the movie hadn't come out yet and nobody knew. And I literally sat beside him and had a full-blown conversation with Sherman Klump and never knew it was Eddie Murphy, one of my favorite actors of all time. The next film you talked about was Fighting Temptation. One of the greatest times of my life. I got to hang out with the OJs and Angie Stone and some amazing singers and Beyonce, Cuba Gooding Jr. That was really an acting role for me. I had to take up method acting during that time because I realized that if I stepped out of my character, I just sucked, And so I had to be Johnson. I had to be that character on camera and off camera just so that I could not laugh at all the different stuff that was happening on the set because Cuba Gooding Jr. was trying to break me every single time. And then The List was more of a private independent film that a friend had put together and asked me to be a part of it. I was playing a much older gentleman And the challenge with that one was, even though I fasted for 40 days that year, a spiritual fast, and lost a lot of weight. So you could see actually during the film that I was sunken face, but still the problem that a lot of my footage was actually cut out of the film because no matter how much they tried to age me, it didn't work. And so for me to seem like an older Morgan Freeman type of guy,
Yeah.
it didn't work. And dude, I'm 51 and they were trying to make me look like an older 51 and it didn't work.
Yeah. What's one skill, talent, or hobby that nobody really knows that you have or do?
I can juggle.
Really? Like
Yeah.
how, like juggle balls or whatever?
Like I can just juggle stuff. Like, I juggle. It's not like I'm not great at it, but it's a hidden talent that
Can you try juggling right now?
yeah, I can. I gotta see if there's some stuff here I can juggle. Okay, let me see. I gotta. This is super random. So here's a piece of tape.
Nice.
Here's a clip, and here's some scissors. I'm not gonna do the scissors. How about
No,
that?
not the
Here's
system.
some more tape
All
here,
right.
and and this thing is probably not the best thing to try and juggle, but
Well, we won't hold it against you if you can't. Oh, wow. Okay.
or even to go. Yeah, not good at it, but hey,
Hey, yeah, no, that's cool. That's impressive. I can, yeah, no.
and smart enough to not try and do the scissors.
Yeah, yeah. You were like the scissors. I was like, no, I
He's
don't
like,
want Montell Jordan to get cut on my
not on my
watch.
show.
Exactly. My producer would kill me. So, um, let's see. Okay. We're getting down to the last five questions. So, if you could only eat one dish or one type of food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Tacos.
Okay. Why?
Tacos. Because every day should be Taco Tuesday. Because you can do tacos lots of different ways, lots of different toppings. Um, I don't know if they have to be one type of meat tacos, but if you could switch up the meat, that's to me, I'll be good with that
What's your
because I can
preferred
make. What's that?
What's your preferred meat for tacos?
I can go with asada,
Okay.
or I can go with yeah, beef or pork or chicken. Any of those. I'm a meatitarian. I'm carnivore, so anything you want to put between the shell, we can knock it out.
Nice. Um, what do you feel takes up the most part of your day, and would you change that?
What takes up the most of my day? Um, it varies from time to time. If I'm honest with you, right now being back in school, finishing up at Pepperdine, that takes quite a bit of my day right now, actually, because of wanting to do well in the studies and the readings and the things that especially when you're a husband, when you're a father, when you're a minister, when you're a homeowner, when you are a student, like all those different things. I don't get to just be one. And I look back at when I was just a student and all I had to be was be a student. And I'm not envious of those days, but I realized I didn't maximize the opportunities that I had to just be a student. And so now most of my time is spent probably trying to divide my time to be present in all areas where I'm needed to be, Montel in different areas.
We're in communications together, but are there other classes you're in this semester too?
Yeah, I'm taking an intro to comm lit, which is kind of great because some of the stuff that we are taking in 300 in research is also helping me navigate how to cite things, how to research and do comm lit papers and reviews and all of that. So it's all kind of intertwining and intersecting for my good right now.
And when are you expected to be done with your all the credits that you need to get done?
November 27th,
Oh,
my
nice.
last final. When I'm done with that, I'll actually have my degree posted 30 years after, or I guess it would be 27 years after being at Pepperdine. I finally went back to get my degree.
Wow. Congratulations. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Um, So if there's going to be a movie about your younger years, who would you want to play you?
Oh man. Uh, Chris Brown could probably do it. He's handsome. Uh, or me. I could play me. They just give me a flat top. I'll take the beard off, and I could play parts of me in the movie. Um, no, I don't know. There's probably some unknown guys out there that are doing their thing. Really, it's about having the height, singing ability, and charisma to be able to pull it off. But
All right. Um, what new music are you working on now? You said you released an album in November, or
yeah, I did.
yeah.
Yeah, I did an album called Masterpiece. Masterpiece is spelled Peace, Master Peace. It's an amazing song, an album that features a duet between me and my wife for the first time. I've got songs with my kids on the album, where my 8-year-old daughter is singing on the chorus. My 16-year-old son is rapping on a song. And the album is a soundtrack for marriages. It is, we do marriage ministry together, something called Marriage Masterpiece, and it literally is the music to accompany what we would want couples or people who desire to be married, what we would want those couples to be able to musically enjoy uh, without feeling a guilt or a shame of content. So as a pastor, creating R&B music that doesn't compromise words or compromise concepts. I love that my songs can be played in a club or they can be played in church.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's not an easy thing to do.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. You don't really think of party and church going together. So,
No. No.
last question. Thank you for hanging on this long. I asked you earlier if you were where you thought you'd be 25 years ago. So, where do you think you will be in the next 25 years? Or what do you hope that will have happened in your life in the next 25 years?
Next 25 years practically puts me at 76 years old. I believe at 76, I will look like I'm 60. Um, I will still be mobile and agile and full of life. My wife and I will still be having sex. Um, that's important.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
That's important. So, but we'll still be married. Um, I will have kids and grandkids and great grandkids at that point. And I will have people able to look at my life and say, this guy wasn't just successful, he was significant. I think that's a huge thing that we touched on briefly, Kaylin, in regard to when Twitter killed me. That one of the things that I saw in me coming back to my phone and coming back to social media feeds, that it was the guy that did This Is How We Do It died. Hey, Montell Jordan, the guy that did This Is How We Do It was found here. Oh, This Is How We Do It singer was found here. And my life seemed to amount to a song title. And so I have lived my life the same way I plan on living the next 25 years, what I call living after the ellipsis. And the ellipsis, at least what I think it is the dot, 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 signifying that something else is coming. So if I were to say, this guy did a song that was a hit record called This Is How We Do It, dot, dot, dot. But then he went on to become a pastor, and he went on to write multiple books, and he went on to win a Grammy, and he went on to, help change the world in this area, and he went on to lead people to Christ, and he went on to love his wife and stay faithful, and he went on, like, I'm living life for after the ellipsis. That's what my next 25 years looks like.
No, that's incredible. That's incredible. I think we should all try to live past the ellipses for sure.
Mhm.
Um, no, it's been really great to be able to talk to you. I know we had a brief project we were working on in class together, that game we were prepping for our midterm final with, and even then you were a character and interesting to talk to. And it was a great experience to be able to work with you and to be able to talk to you now. So I just want to thank you so much for taking time today and talking to me.
I thank you. I thank you for your listening community and the folks that work alongside of you, your friends, your relationships, and for thinking enough of me to want me to be a part of this interview.
Yeah, thank you.